Hello, Suhong. Welcome to the tryout for the AVP Jessup team. As you are aware, we will be selecting the team for the Jessup, the Philip C. Jessup International Lawn Mobile Competition, which will be composed of 5 competitors in total in order to represent AVP at the national rounds and potentially at the international rounds. We are a committee of 5, which includes the Chair, Professor Suti, Vice Chair, Professor Hisham, Professor Mark, Ms. Navin, and myself, Sri Mungo Heng. And without further ado, I would like to ask you to begin your 15 minutes of oral presentation.
Mr. President, Your Excellencies, may it please the Court. My name is Suhong and I will be presenting on the issue of whether moderate Hutu be included within a protected group definition stated in the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide of 1948 for trial proceedings of the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, hereinafter referred to as ICTR. The Rwandan genocide lasting 100 days between April and July 1994 saw the death of 800,000 ethnic Tutsi and moderate Hutu. In its aftermath, the ICTR was set up by the United Nations to trial more than 80 accused higher-level politicians, military officials, and media leaders on account of crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes. With the trial prosecutor, the John Paul Akayeshu, the ICTR became the first international tribunal to interpret the definition of genocide set in the 1948 Geneva Conventions and the first to enter judgment for the crime of genocide.
What is genocide, agent?
Genocide, according to the definition provided under the 1948 Geneva Convention, genocide is the act perpetrated on a group based on their affiliation to their national, ethnic, racial, and religious groups, as determined both objectively, subjectively, and according to the tribunal, it may be a combination of both.
What do you mean subjectively?
The objective parameter means visible and scientifically variable parameters such as skin color. The subjective parameters refer to the perpetrator's perception of the victim group as a member of one of the protected group of genocide, that is national, ethnic, religious, or racial.
Is any type of violence towards a group of, like an ethnic group or any type of group based on their identity, a genocide?
Mr. President, the crime that constitutes crime of genocide only refers to the intention and the action of eradicating a group based on the group membership of the people to their national, ethnic, religious, or racial groups. To continue, the trial chamber had to determine whether the Tutsi and moderate Hutu fits into the protected group definition by analyzing the definition of genocide stated in the statute of the ICTR, but also considering the objective, subjective parameters or a combination of both in defining protected group and group membership of the victims. There are 4 important criteria that the chamber considered to prosecuting the accused: the definition of genocide, the definition of group member, and the objective and subjective parameters to define victim group membership. The verbatim definition of genocide, stated in Article 2 of the Convention on Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, Article 6 of the Rome Statute for the International Criminal Court, Article 2 of the Statute of the International Tribunal for Rwanda, as acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, or racial, or religious group, as such, in which the definition then extends to 5 different types of crime that constitutes crime of genocide. Group membership is not determined by means of dubious objective parameters such as skin color, but by the perception of the group's permanent differences. Based on the finding of the...
Perception by whom?
Perception, Your Excellency, perception of the perpetrator commissioning the crime. Based on the findings of the first ICTR case, Tutsi was determined as a group with a distinct identity. This was the first verdict after analyzing the tribal preparators of the 1948 Genocide Convention and the legislation in the Constitution and Civil Code of the Rwandan Republic. On reading Article 2 of the Genocide Convention and the tribal preparators for the convention, the crime of genocide was perceived as targeting only stable groups constitute in a permanent fashion and membership that is determined by birth, with the exclusion of the more mobile group, which one joins through individual voluntary commitment, such as political groups. Every Rwandan citizen was required before 1994, where the genocide started, to carry an identity card, which include an entry for ethnic groups, the ethnic group being Hutu, Tutsi, or Twa. The Rwandan Constitution Constitution and laws in force in 1994 also identify Rwandans by referring to their ethnic group. Article 16 of the Constitution of the Rwandan Republic of 10 June 1991 reads, all citizens are equal before the law, without any discrimination, notably on ground of race, color, origin, ethnicity, clan, sex, opinion, religion, or social position. Article 57 of the Code of 1988 provided that a person would be identified by sex, ethnic group, name, residence, and domicile. Article 118 of the Civil Code provided that the birth certificate would include the year, month, date, place of birth, the sex, the ethnic group, the first and last name of the infant. In this case, the Chamber determined that the Tutsi population that does not have its own language, nor a distinct culture from the rest of the Rwandan population as a group with a distinct identity. On the other hand, the crimes perpetrated on moderate Hutus distinguishes itself from the crime of genocide because the perpetrators, identified to be of the Hutu ethnic group, did not identify the moderate Hutu as belonging to a separate national, ethnical, racial, or religious membership within the Hutu ethnic group.
Doesn't that mean that then it's not genocide?
No, Mr. President.
Why is that?
Because first of all, the moderate Hutu was not considered to belonging to a distinct, permanent group within the ethnic Hutu group of itself, and these groups.
Who makes that determination? I thought it was the perpetrator. Who makes the determination that they're not its distinctive group within the Hutu ethnicity group?
Because there was no perception, there was no objective parameters that signify the moderate Hutu to belonging to a distinct group that looks differently from the rest of the ethnic Hutu population, and subjective parameter, the rest of the Hutu or the Hutu extremists that were perpetrating these crimes did not perceive the moderate Hutu to belonging to a distinct permanent group. They only perceived the moderate Hutu as belonging to a specific political alignment that is contrary to the campaign that the Hutu was mobilizing against the ethnic Tutsi.
Based on the definition of genocide, does it mention political alignment?
No, Mr.